The soft, rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor was the only sound in Noah's hospital room. Steady, patient, like time itself refusing to give up. For months, he had lain there, motionless, suspended between life and whatever waited beyond. But on this ordinary morning, when the winter sun broke through the blinds and painted gold streaks across his pale skin, something extraordinary stirred. His fingers twitched. Dr. Lawson nearly dropped her clipboard. "Did you see that?" she whispered, eyes wide as the nurse nodded, already rushing to his side. The beeping quickened, not dangerously, but like a melody waking from silence. Noah's eyelids fluttered once, twice, and then, with the smallest of breaths, he opened his eyes. The world came rushing back in fragments. Light, sound, the smell of antiseptic, and a whisper of a name that seemed to echo from far away. Holden. Across town, Holden Spencer was in the middle of something he never thought he'd do again, facing his past. He stood in front of the old riverside warehouse, the air thick with the scent of rain and rust. His heart pounded as if it already knew what was coming. Mitch Callahan was back in town. The man who had nearly destroyed everything. The man whose choices had left Noah in a coma. Holden had thought he'd buried that chapter, had convinced himself that forgiveness, or at least distance, was enough. But now that Mitch was here, face to face, there was no distance left to hide behind. "Holden," Mitch said quietly, stepping out from the shadows. He looked older, tired, but his eyes still carried that same unrelenting fire. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "I was hoping I wouldn't have to," Holden shot back, jaw tight. "But you just keep coming back, don't you?" Mitch sighed, his tone softer than Holden remembered. "I didn't come here to fight." "Good," Holden said sharply. "Because if you did, you're standing in the wrong place." Mitch nodded slowly. "I came because of Noah." Holden froze. "Don't say his name." "He's awake." The words hung in the air like an explosion, silent but devastating. Holden blinked, unsure he'd heard correctly. "What did you just say?" Mitch stepped closer, his voice trembling with something real, remorse, hope, maybe both. "Noah's awake. I got the call this morning." He opened his eyes. Holden felt his knees weaken. He didn't know whether to laugh or collapse. For months, he'd visited Noah every day, talking to him, begging him to come back, even when the doctors said there was no chance. And now he was awake. He pushed past Mitch, already pulling his car keys from his pocket. "If this is some sick trick." "It's not," Mitch interrupted, stepping in his path. "I wouldn't lie about this, not about him." For a moment, Holden saw it, the same grief, the same longing. They both loved Noah in their own broken ways. "Then stay out of my way," Holden warned, his voice shaking. "You don't get to be there." When Holden reached the hospital, his chest felt too small to hold his heart. The sterile hallways blurred around him as he turned the corner to room 214, Noah's room. He stopped short at the door. Through the glass, he saw Noah sitting upright in bed, eyes open, staring out the window as if he were seeing the sky for the first time. His hair was longer now, his face thinner, but it was him. It was Noah. Holden pushed open the door. "Hey," he said softly. Noah turned. For a moment, confusion clouded his gaze, like a man trying to place a familiar voice from a dream. And then recognition bloomed. "Holden," his voice cracked. Holden's throat tightened. "Yeah, it's me." Noah blinked hard, tears forming at the corners of his eyes. I thought I'd never see you again." "Don't say that." Holden moved closer, his hand trembling as he reached for Noah's. "You scared the hell out of me." Noah managed a small laugh that turned into a sob. "Guess I like keeping you on your toes." Holden smiled through tears. "That's one way to do it." For a long moment, they just sat there, the silence heavy with everything unspoken. The lost time, the pain, the questions neither dared to ask yet. Finally, Noah's voice broke the quiet. "Where's Mitch?" Holden's body tensed instantly. "Why do you care?" "I remember," Noah said, frowning as he searched his fragmented memories. "He was there before the accident." Holden looked away. "He doesn't deserve to be part of this, Noah. Not after what he did. Noah's eyes softened. He made a mistake. He ruined your life, Holden snapped, his anger finally spilling through. Noah squeezed his hand weakly. And yet, you're still here. Holden froze, the words slicing through his armor. Noah's gaze was steady. Don't hate him for me, Holden. I don't want that to be what's left of us. Holden wanted to argue, but before he could, the door opened. Mitch stepped in quietly, eyes on Noah. For a second, he looked like a man standing at the gates of his own judgment. Holden rose instantly. Get out. But Noah's voice stopped him. No. Holden turned, stunned. I want to see him, Noah said gently. Mitch swallowed hard, his eyes glistening. Hey, kid, he said softly, his voice breaking. You look better than the last time I saw you. Noah's lips curved into a faint smile. That's not saying much. Even Holden couldn't help but exhale a shaky laugh. Mitch took a step closer, hesitating. I didn't come to make excuses. What happened that night I'll never forgive myself. I thought I was protecting you both. I thought, his voice cracked. I was wrong. Noah nodded, his expression unreadable. You were. Silence fell. The three of them stood in that small room, the ghosts of their choices pressing close. Finally, Noah spoke again, his tone firm but kind. You both need to stop punishing yourselves. I'm alive. That has to mean something. Holden looked at Mitch, really looked, and for the first time in years, he didn't see the enemy. He saw a man drowning in guilt just like him. Mitch took a step back, his voice rough. If you'll let me, I'd like to make things right. Noah smiled faintly. Then start by forgiving yourself. Holden swallowed hard, and maybe we'll figure out the rest. Hours later, as the sun began to set, Holden stood outside the hospital, watching the colors shift from gold to crimson. Mitch stood beside him, silent. So what now? Mitch asked quietly. Holden shrugged. Now we stop running from it for Noah. Mitch nodded slowly. For Noah. Behind them, through the window, Noah watched, fragile but smiling. The world had changed while he slept, but maybe, just maybe, it had changed for the better. Because sometimes, the hardest awakenings aren't from a coma, they're from the past. And all three of them, in their own ways, were finally waking up.